In traditional Tibetan Thangka painting, a specific shade of crushed lapis lazuli blue isn't just decoration. It's a coded visual element, selected across centuries of esoteric tradition to represent a precise state of consciousness, one associated with the medicine Buddha, whose very name translates to King of Lapis Lazuli light. This is the story of how a stone mined for 9,000 years in the mountains of Afghanistan became the most sacred pigment in one of the world's most secretive art traditions. The word thanka means recorded message. These Tibetan Buddhist scroll paintings are not art in the way we typically think of art. They are portable temples. Meditation maps, visual scriptures that encode complex Buddhist philosophy into color, proportion, and symbol. Every single brushstroke follows rules so strict they resemble an algorithm more than an artistic impulse. And at the heart of this system, its deepest layer of meaning is color. Color, in a thanka, is theology. The palette is built on what's known as the 5 wisdom colors, or panchavarna: white, blue, yellow, red, and green. These aren't chosen for beauty. Each one maps directly to a specific human affliction and its transformation into enlightened wisdom. White transmutes ignorance, yellow transmutes pride, red transmutes desire, green transmutes jealousy, and blue, the blue of lapis lazuli, transmutes anger into mirror-like wisdom. This esoteric color symbolism in thankas operates on a level most viewers never see. The blue of the Buddha Akshobhya, seated on an elephant throne in the east, isn't simply blue. It is the visual embodiment of a psychological and spiritual process, the moment when destructive rage becomes perfect, undistorted clarity, like a mirror that reflects reality exactly as it is, without judgment, without flinching. And this blue had to come from somewhere real. For at least 9,000 years, lapis lazuli has been pulled from the earth at Sari Sang in Afghanistan's Badakhshan province, the oldest continuously operated mines known to humanity. Marco Polo himself passed through the region in 1271 and wrote of a mountain where the finest azure in the world is found, appearing in veins like silver streaks. From these mines, the stone traveled along ancient trade routes to Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, Greece, Rome, and eventually to the monastery workshops of Tibet. A 2021 pigment analysis published in Heritage Science identified over 40 distinct mineral and organic pigments in the murals of Shalu Monastery, founded in 1040 CE. Among them were Afghan lapis lazuli and Kashmiri indigo. These findings reveal the vast trade networks that fed Tibetan sacred art. The blue on those monastery walls came from thousands of miles away, carried across some of the most treacherous terrain on Earth, because no substitute would do. And here's why. When you grind lapis lazuli by hand on a stone pallet, a process that can take hours for a single color, and mix the resulting powder with animal hide glue and ox bile, you get something synthetic pigments simply cannot replicate. Light interacts with actual mineral particles rather than dye molecules, creating a depth and luminosity that seems to glow from within. These pigments do not fade. Thankas painted with mineral pigments centuries ago retain their vibrancy today. The yield, however, is brutal. 1 kilogram of raw lapis lazuli produces roughly 30 grams of usable pigment. The finished pigment costs approximately 10 times more than the stone itself, historically rivaling or exceeding the price of gold. In Renaissance Europe, painters reserved this precious ultramarine, whose name comes from the Latin ultramarinus, meaning beyond the sea, exclusively for the robes of the Virgin Mary. The Dutch master Vermeer used it so extensively it may have contributed to his family's financial ruin. But in Tibet, the symbolism and esoteric traditions demanded this specific material for reasons that went beyond aesthetics. The pigments weren't just symbolic, they were believed to hold the essence and energy of the elements they represented. Lapis lazuli wasn't merely painting blue, it was embedding the quality of healing, of spaciousness, of the infinite sky into the fabric of the image itself. This brings us to the medicine Buddha, Vaisajaguru Vaidurya Prabharaja, the master of medicine, king of lapis lazuli light. His body is depicted as radiant lapis lazuli blue, and this is perhaps the most concentrated expression of esoteric color symbolism in all of Thangka art. The deep blue represents his pure land, the element of boundless space, and the wisdom that purifies anger and other poisons. Even today, Tibetan doctors chant the Medicine Buddha mantra before preparing herbal medicines, believing the practice makes treatments more effective. In visualization practice, meditators are instructed to picture the Medicine Buddha's body as shining blue light, not abstractly, but using the precise iconographic details of the Thangka as anchor points. They visualize this blue light spreading through their own body, dissolving sickness and suffering. The Thangka becomes a tool for this practice, its lapis blue serving as a visual gateway into a meditative state focused on healing and transformation. None of this is improvised. Thangka painting follows iconometric rules so precise they would satisfy an engineer. The Tibetan Book of Proportions specifies that a Buddha's head must be exactly 1/4 of the body's height, with facial features measured to the millimeter. Colors are dictated by scripture. Proportional grids ensure every figure is drawn identically across centuries and continents. As the art historian Pratapaditya Pal wrote in his 2022 survey, in the Tibetan context, fidelity to the revealed forms is the measure of artistic excellence. A monk must train for at least 6 years before producing work deemed acceptable to Buddhist standards, and a thanka is not considered complete until it is consecrated by a lama, with mantras chanted, incense burned, and the painting spiritually activated. This tradition is not frozen in the past. In Nepal, Tibetan lamas and artists in exile brought their expertise to local artisans already skilled in painting, creating a fusion of regional styles. Schools like Karmagadri, Menri, and Sangri emerged over centuries, each with distinctive approaches while maintaining the core principles of sacred proportion and color. But the tradition faces pressures. The Afghan lapis mines that supplied this art for millennia have become conflict zones. A Global Witness investigation found that the Taliban and other armed groups earn up to $20 million annually from these mines, leading to calls for lapis lazuli to be classified as a conflict mineral. Meanwhile, commercial thankas increasingly use cheap synthetic acrylics, flat, overly bright, lacking the luminous depth of mineral pigments. The difference between a thanka painted with genuine crushed lapis and one painted with synthetic blue isn't just visual. Within this tradition, it's spiritual. What makes this subject so compelling is the intersection it reveals. Here is a system where geology, trade, theology, psychology, and art converge into a single practice. A stone mined in Afghan mountains for 9 millennia, ground for hours by hand mixed with animal glue, and applied according to proportional grids specified in ancient texts, all to create a specific shade of blue that represents the transformation of human anger into perfect wisdom. The symbolism in esoteric traditions like this one reminds us that for much of human history, color was never just color. It was meaning made visible. And in the deep blue of a Thangka's lapis lazuli, that meaning still radiates, undimmed after 1,000 years.